Hello Moto GP fans. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Johann Zarco sustained a small fracture to his knee along with ligament damage following a frightening multi-bike crash during the Catalan Grand Prix. The LCR Honda rider was transported to hospital after being caught in a melee at turn 1 on the race restart, where his leg became entangled with Francesco Bagnaia's Ducati. He will remain under observation overnight while doctors continue scans and monitoring. A multi-bike crash at the Catalan Grand Prix left Johann Zarco with ligament damage and a small fibula fracture, while Francesco Bagnaia, involved in the same incident, described the shock of seeing Zarco's leg hooked on his Ducati and urged stronger rider involvement in safety decisions. Gresini Racing confirmed Alex Marquez suffered multiple fractures following a high-speed crash at the Catalan Grand Prix and will undergo surgery tonight. The rider was transferred to the Hospital General de Catalunya after initial treatment at the circuit. Scans revealed a marginal fracture of the C7 vertebra and a fracture of the right clavicle, the latter to be stabilized with a plate. Jorge Martin described Barcelona as a chaotic, emotionally draining day and apologized for an outburst in the pits while stressing that the welfare of Alex Marquez and Johann Zarco is the only priority. He framed his weekend as part of a learning curve on the Aprilia, accepted responsibility for his reaction, and urged stronger rider involvement in safety decisions after multiple restarts and serious crashes. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. The incident unfolded at the first restart of the race, a moment when the entire field is tightly bunched and the risk of contact is highest. Zarco, who had qualified as the top Honda in 5th, was battling with Alex Marquez and Jorge Martin when Bagnaia and Luca Marini collided near him. In the chaos, Zarco's leg was trapped against Bagnaia's Ducati as it ricocheted through the gravel. He was thrown to the ground, prompting an immediate red flag and rapid medical intervention. From his hospital bed in Barcelona, Zarco reassured fans with a video message, explaining that while the crash looked severe, the injuries were relatively contained. He confirmed that his femur was not broken, though doctors identified ligament damage and a small fracture at the bottom of the fibula near his left ankle. He is also wearing a neck brace, which he described as precautionary rather than essential. "There's a small fracture at the bottom of the fibula, on the outside of my left ankle. Overnight observation is standard procedure after high-impact crashes, allowing doctors to monitor swelling, ligament stability, and potential complications such as compartment syndrome." Zarco's injury is particularly frustrating given his strong weekend up to that point. He had qualified 5th, ahead of all other Honda riders, and was mixing with the podium contenders before the restart incident. His withdrawal not only ended his race but also disrupted the rhythm of the event, forcing teams to reset strategies after the red flag. For LCR Honda, the setback is significant. Zarco has been one of their most consistent performers, and his absence could affect their points tally and development feedback. The crash highlighted the inherent risks of MotoGP's restart procedures. With riders tightly packed and tires not yet fully up to temperature, the margin for error is razor-thin. Zarco's entanglement with Bagnaia's Ducati underscores how unpredictable mechanical trajectories can be once bikes leave the racing line. Race Control's decision to red flag was immediate, reflecting MotoGP's strict safety protocols. Zarco's scans and overnight monitoring will determine the exact recovery timeline, but early signs are cautiously optimistic given the absence of a femur fracture. The next steps include detailed imaging and consultation with specialists to decide whether surgery or conservative rehabilitation is required. For LCR Honda, the priority is ensuring Zarco's safe recovery before considering a return to competition. His resilience and experience suggest he could bounce back quickly, but the team will not rush the process. Rider welfare remains paramount. If recovery proceeds smoothly, Zarco could rejoin the grid later in the season, but for now, Barcelona marks another reminder of Moto GP's fine line between thrilling competition and the ever-present risks of high-speed racing. The incident occurred at the first restart, where tightly bunched riders collided at turn 1. Zarco became entangled with Bagnaia's Ducati as bikes bounced through the gravel, prompting an immediate red flag and rapid medical response. The race required 2 further restarts before a shortened 12-lap run produced a final result. From hospital, Zarco confirmed he suffered ligament damage in his knee and a small fracture at the bottom of the fibula near his left ankle. He reassured fans that his femur is intact and that he will remain under observation overnight while doctors complete scans. Overnight monitoring after high-impact crashes is standard to check for swelling, ligament stability, and any secondary complications. Bagnaia said the sight of Zarco's leg hooked to his bike was a hard blow, and admitted the image stayed with him. He described dizziness and neck discomfort after the incident, and praised his garage for their work in getting him back out for the final restart, where he ultimately finished on the podium. Seeing Zarco's leg hooked on my bike was a hard blow. Riders involved in incidents often carry psychological as well as physical aftereffects. Bagnaia's candor highlights the human cost behind race results. The crashes reignited debate over restart procedures and circuit safety. Bagnaia urged greater rider participation in the Safety Commission, noting that with only a few riders attending meetings the group lacks influence. He stressed that while riders can choose not to restart, collective engagement is needed to push for meaningful changes. Safety policy in MotoGP depends on consensus. Low attendance at commission meetings weakens riders' ability to shape rules on restarts, track protection, and emergency protocols. Zarco's injury removes a strong LCR Honda contender from immediate competition and deprives the team of a key development voice. Bagnaia's podium came amid mixed feelings, a sporting gain tempered by the severity of the incident and his own physical aftereffects. The red flags and restarts also disrupted tire strategies and race plans across the field. Injuries to experienced riders affect both championship points and technical feedback loops that teams rely on during development phases. Zarco's scans and specialist assessments will determine the recovery path and timeline. Early signs are cautiously optimistic, but further imaging will clarify whether surgery or conservative rehab is required. Meanwhile, the incident has amplified calls for stronger rider representation in safety decisions and renewed scrutiny of restart protocols. Teams and organizers will face pressure to balance the spectacle of racing with clearer, collective safeguards to reduce the risk of repeat incidents. Marquez collided with Pedro Acosta's KTM while running second, after Acosta experienced a sudden mechanical slowdown on the back straight. Marquez's Ducati was launched, flipped several times, and came to rest wrecked. Debris struck other riders and the race was immediately red flagged for medical intervention. High-speed mechanical slowdowns in the slipstream create extremely dangerous scenarios. The resulting multi-bike dynamics produced severe impacts and widespread damage. Hospital CT scans identified a marginal fracture to the C7 vertebra and a broken right clavicle. Gresini Racing reported that Marquez will undergo surgery to stabilize the clavicle tonight, while further evaluation of the cervical injury will continue next week. Everything's under control. I have surgery tonight, but I couldn't be in better hands. Cervical fractures require careful assessment. Stabilizing the clavicle surgically is a common step to restore shoulder integrity and allow controlled rehabilitation. Marquez posted hospital photos showing him alert and wearing a neck brace, thanking fans for support. He appeared in good spirits despite visible bruising and the seriousness of his injuries. Gresini emphasized that specialists are managing his care and that the team will provide updates as evaluations progress. Early optimism from a rider is encouraging, but definitive recovery timelines depend on specialist reviews and the exact nature of the cervical injury. Marquez's injuries remove a front-running contender from immediate competition and deprive Gresini of a key points scorer and development rider. The team will need to manage rider replacements, bike repairs, and championship strategy while supporting Marquez's medical pathway. Mid-season injuries to experienced riders affect both short-term results and longer-term technical feedback that teams rely on for development. The immediate priority is successful surgery and detailed follow-up imaging to determine whether the C7 fracture requires surgical intervention or conservative treatment. Gresini and medical staff will update on recovery timelines once further evaluations are complete next week. For now, the focus is on stabilization and careful, specialist-led rehabilitation. Recovery from clavicle surgery typically ranges from weeks to months depending on complications. Cervical fractures can extend timelines and require multidisciplinary management. Alex Marquez faces surgery tonight to stabilize a fractured clavicle after a violent crash that also produced a marginal C7 fracture. Early signs are cautiously optimistic, but definitive return to riding dates will depend on specialist assessments and the outcome of further scans. The priority for Gresini and the paddock is a safe, measured medical recovery before any discussion of a comeback. Martin repeatedly downplayed his own result, insisting his personal story is completely secondary to the fact that Alex and Zarco were seriously hurt. He said the day's atmosphere was tense, and that seeing ambulances and debris made it hard for many riders to refocus. The important thing is that Alex and Zarco are okay, that they're alive, and that we can move on. Putting teammates' welfare first is a common paddock response after high-impact incidents, and helps reframe competitive narratives. Martin questioned the wisdom of repeating the race 3 times, calling multiple restarts excessive, and warning that not every rider can mentally reset after such traumatic scenes. He urged greater collective action through the Safety Commission so riders can influence restart and safety protocols. When riders publicly challenge restart procedures, organizers and race control typically face renewed pressure to review protocols and rider representation. Martin described a moment of panic when debris and a loose bike came toward him at the first restart. He dodged the machine but was hit by flying parts. He admitted the repeated incidents left him shaken, even as his lap times improved with each outing. Psychological recovery after near misses is as important as physical recovery. Confidence at specific corners can be affected for several sessions. Despite 5 crashes across the weekend, Martin emphasized the positives. He was fast and progressively more comfortable in each restart. He framed the incidents as part of learning the Aprilia and finding the bike's limits, not as evidence of a deeper problem. A rider who combines raw speed with a constructive learning mindset is valuable to a team, even if mistakes occur during the adaptation phase. Cameras caught Martin shoving Paolo Bonora in the garage after the race. He later apologized, calling the reaction senseless and acknowledging the team's support. He said the outburst was the result of pent-up frustration rather than personal animosity. "I want to apologize." Public apologies help defuse internal tension and preserve team cohesion after emotionally charged weekends. Martin's weekend ends with mixed signals, clear pace and progress on the Aprilia, but also repeated crashes and emotional strain. The immediate focus for Aprilia and Martin is psychological recovery, consolidating the setup gains that produce speed, and pushing for stronger rider representation in safety discussions so future restarts and protocols better reflect riders' perspectives. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your Moto GP news update. And see you next time!